Children, please. How's life? How's everybody? Happy? MashaAllah. And how did you find this Ijtima of Atfal?
Good.
Have you been participating since this morning?
Yes.
Actively.
Yes.
And did you find it beneficial in any way? You did? For instance, tell me how. Muhammad, you stand up and represent all of them. Loudly, please. Give me the points. The points in which you are fully satisfied. Right? That's all. No educational program? Right. It will continue tomorrow. MashaAllah. Now this is the question answer session, as you know full well. Already the whole Jamaat is familiar with this. So no need for chewing words. Straight away, let's get into the session, okay? There you are already, MashaAllah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Introduce yourself first, briefly.
My name is Numan from Bradford. My question is...
From?
Bradford.
Bradford, right?
And my question is that in the Eid namaz, the first Rakah, we have 7 takbirs, and why do we have 5 in the second one?
Right. In the Eid namaz, in the first, you have in fact 8, not 7, right? And in the second Rakah, altogether there is 6. 1 when you rise from prostration, and then 5 more. Correct? Okay. Now the point is that the first takbir is said without any known takbir-e-iqama. When you say ordinary prayers, then before the prayer begins, there is a takbir-e-iqama, which means Ashhadu Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Ashhadu la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, Hayya ala salah, qad qamat as-salah, qad qamat as-salah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah. I have read it fast, but people normally take their time in doing it. This prepares people for joining the namaz. But because there is no takbir in it, so the extra takbir works as a sort of warning so nobody misses. Nowadays it is possible through loudspeaker system to inform everybody to get ready. But it is not working everywhere in the world even today. In many third world countries in Africa, etc., there could be large gatherings where there is no arrangement for a loudspeaker. So this takbir, Allahu Akbar, by the time people hear the prayer is starting, they start joining and they don't miss much of the prayer then. See? For the first takbir, for the first prayer, for the first rakat, to have 2 extra prayers is very useful. For the first rakat, to have 2 extra takbirs serves a very useful purpose. That is just a guess I have advanced. It is not mentioned anywhere why. But we know all the teachings of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam were rich in wisdom. So there has to be some wisdom. Of that no one can deny. But now that you have raised the question for the first time, thinking of it, often, I have just suggested this could possibly be the reason why. But this is not a final answer. If you think of some more reasons, maybe you yourself discover some more. Okay? Assalamu alaikum. Haven't you made some arrangement for the boys to sit in line?
We're sitting like this
already. So they have to come from there all the way back. Okay.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम हुजूर, मेरा नाम मुदस्सर है और मैंने आपको पूछना था रोज़ों में तरावियाँ क्यों पढ़ते हैं?
रोज़ों में तरावियाँ क्यों पढ़ते हैं? क्या पढ़ना चाहिए? नॉवेल्स? Why this question? What is Tarawih? Do you know what Tarawih is?
Yeah.
What is it? You pray to God in optional prayers, nafil. And because in Ramadan you are expected to do everything good which is required of you according to the Quranic teaching more intensely than ever before. So the number of nawafil is increased, the number of zikr ilahi is increased, remembrance of God. Normally people who do not get up in the dead of the night to remember God, in Ramadan they have to anyway because they have to get up for eating if for nothing else. So they are trained in the art of remembering Allah far more during the month of Ramadan than before. This training works for their betterment in the following months as well. They don't shed all that they have learned the moment they enter Eid. They are expected to get practice, get used to these things and carry some of the lessons they have learned into the daily life, into the future. So when you say Tarawih, in fact, first of all, this has to be corrected that Tarawih is not the real form of nawafil which is expected of Muslims. It is a makeshift arrangement for nawafil. And let me explain this to you. What the Holy Quran tells us is to get up after sleeping a while before the dawn and much before the dawn and start saying your nawafil, that is optional prayers. And this is tahajjud. In Ramadan, essentially, every Muslim is expected to say tahajjud. But it so happened that at the time of Hazrat Umar Radhiyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, the second caliph in Islam, it was reported that there are many workers, hard laborers, or farmers who sometimes had to work very hard during the day, who want to get up for tahajjud, but because being too tired, they can't wake up at the right time. So the issue for them was either to miss nafil altogether or to have an alternative arrangement made for their sake. So it was decided that those who cannot get up at tahajjud time, they know they would perhaps miss them. It is better to say nafil before going to sleep. So immediately after the Isha prayer, these nafils which are normally to be said at the pre-dawn period of tahajjud, they are said after the Isha prayer, so the poor laborers could return and have a good night's rest. And then they would wake up in time just for eating their sehri and keeping the roza following it. Now you know what Tarawih means. Tarawih is a substitute for nafil of tahajjud. The main thing is nafil of tahajjud. So all boys or girls, whoever they are, who can get up in enough time before eating their sehri, the best thing for them is to say nawafil before starting eating. And that is the real thing. If some cannot, because of being too young and sleep being too heavy, they cannot afford to get up for tahajjud, then before going to sleep after the Isha prayer, if they join Tarawih, it is a sort of makeshift arrangement for them. Got it? Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is
Wa
Talha.
alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
My name is Talha and I'm from Hounslow. And my question is, why did Allah make human beings, and how did Adam and Eve get their name?
Why did Allah make human beings, and how did Adam and Eve get their names?
All that I know is that in the scriptures of old and in the Holy Quran, these names are mentioned. So we know that they were named this. Who named them is an open question. Did their parents name them, or were they named by God? I prefer the second option, because the way they are described, it seems that Allah gave them the names Himself. And this is nothing new. It happens. In case of, for instance, Jesus Christ, His name Isa ibn Maryam was given to Him even before His birth, even before His conception, through dream to Hazrat Sayyida Maryam Siddiqa, his mother. Angels told her that you are going to be blessed with a special child from Allah, and this is the name which God has given him, Isa ibn Maryam, and that is the name which was given to him later on. So from this we are definite that the names of some very dear people of Allah are given to them by Allah Himself. The most prominent example, however, is that of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The proof that his name was in fact given by God, although human agency was used, of course. It was some human being who gave him this name. It was his grandfather, in fact. But it was designed by Allah that this is the name which will be given to him. Long before his birth, long before the birth of his forefathers. Because we read in the Quran that his name is written in the Old Testament. That a prophet, a great prophet by the name of Muhammad will be born, who will do this and do that. So how could his name be written in the Old Testament if it had been accidentally given to him after his birth? That means that this name was decreed right from the beginning. It was in the Allah's knowledge that this is the name he will have, he will possess. And when you read the meaning of the word Muhammad, then it becomes evidently clear that it has a deep significance. So as far as the name of Adam is concerned, that is very likely to be given by God Himself. As far as the name of Eve is concerned, I am not so sure, but that could also have been given by God Himself. The first part of your question was, your question had two aspects.
Yeah, the first part was, why did Allah make human beings?
Why did Allah make human beings? Why did you start with that question? Why didn't you ask, why did Allah make anything? Are the human being not the best of all the animal kingdom?
I don't know.
Don't you think so? Are the human beings not better equipped, better talented than all the beasts of the jungle and the other animals, dogs and
Yep.
donkeys
They are.
and worms and things?
They are.
So why haven't you questioned about those minor, smaller things instead of human beings? If ever life was to be created, the creation of human being is the very best of all the life. You understand the point?
Yeah.
So the question doesn't arise why Allah made the human beings. The question should have been why Allah made anything. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Allah is the creator, it is His attribute to create. Allah is the life giver. Mohi is another attribute of His. And Allah is Rabb, provider. So all these are attributes. And the attributes can only be attributes if they are operative and they work. Can you ask a flower, why does he emit fragrance? Will that be a good question addressed to a flower? Why does he, or address yourself to a rose and say, why do you have such a beautiful red color? Why couldn't you do without it? If you like the fragrance of rose, can you ask a question, oh rose, why do you have such fragrance? Why do you have such petals, soft petals? Why do you have this shape? Because this is the making of the rose. All these things are the characteristic of rose. And if the rose ceases to possess those attributes, the rose goes out of existence. Any human being, anything in fact, has his own attributes. And everything lives by its attributes, is known by its attributes. If the attributes are withdrawn, nothing is left. Don't you know that? Have you eaten today?
Yes.
What did you eat?
Well, I can't remember. I
Pardon?
stuffed myself. I can't remember because I stuffed myself.
You can't remember what you ate at lunch, this afternoon?
Keema. Keema.
Keema?
Yeah.
Keema. Which keema? Mad beefs? Mad cow's beef? No. It was mutton?
Aloo keema.
Or some keema, okay. And how did you know it was keema?
Because my brain told me.
If nobody had told you, you wouldn't know that it was keema you were eating or dust. When you eat something, you know what you're eating because of its properties. When you talk of dead things, you talk of properties. When you talk of live things, you talk of attributes. See? So, without attributes, nothing exists. You recognize everything by its attributes. So, Allah has the attribute of creation. So, He must manifest it. There is no question why. It's invalid. Anything who has a property, He must manifest it. Got it?
Got it.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
My name is Samir and I'm from Hanzalo Jamaat. My question is that I believe that Islam is a true religion, but if I told my Christian friends, they would say that their religion is the true religion. So how can I prove to them that Islam is a true religion?
Why do you believe in Islam to be a true religion?
Because it's my religion.
That is no answer at all.
Yeah, but
Then you are founded on nothing.
I've read about it, and it says
You
that
see,
Islam is
if you believe in Islam because it was the religion of your parents and you are born with this religion, you have inherited this religion, then you do not stand on any foundation whatsoever. First start learning Islam. Right?
Right.
When you learn Islam and when you are convinced that this is a good religion, only then you can talk of Islam to others, not before that. Do you want me to start teaching you the elementaries of Islam right from the beginning to the end, now, in this session?
No, I can do it later, not now because you're gonna...
Return home, ask your parents, tell them to start teaching you what they failed to teach you before this.
I have...
Okay?
All right.
Thank you. Have you returned from your holiday tour? Did you go with your father?
Yes.
How did you like it?
It was good.
You enjoyed?
Yeah.
Did you have good long walks?
Yeah.
How many miles a day?
Don't know.
Huh?
Don't know.
You don't know. A guess? Just a wild guess.
About 2 miles.
Huh?
2 miles.
2 miles. That's you call a walk. And that too on a holiday. You should have done 8, 10, 20 miles. Then I would call it a holiday. Eh? You just enjoyed eating, sitting in the room cozily and gossiping in the family. Is that what you call a holiday?
No.
No? So what did you do? What else did you do? Drive?
Yeah, we did a lot of driving.
Huh? Most of the time driving. Oh, what a poor idea, man. You should have opened up your legs, you should have gone up the car, abandoned the car and run about and played and things.
Yeah, we went on the beach every night.
Beach every day.
Yeah, walk.
Watching the dead meat all around you. Huh? Naked flesh everywhere. Okay, come on. Let's.
Hazur, my question is, do Muslims believe in the Big Bang Theory?
The Muslims?
Yeah.
Why do you ask the Muslims?
Like us.
No, it's not a question of religion at all. It's a question of a scientific attitude. The Big Bang Theory, as far as the scientific name, the term Big Bang is concerned, this is not a religious belief at all. This is a scientific observation. And the theory is based on that scientific study, investigation and observation, right? So why do you say, why do we Muslims believe in the Big Bang?
No, I mean, do you believe that Allah made
It has to be examined scientifically, and if it is found to be true, only then the question would arise that as far as our knowledge goes, we understand that the Big Bang did take place and this theory holds water. It's worthy of belief. So does the Holy Quran mention it anywhere? Something like this, which will reassure us that the Quran is the book authored by the same creator who created the universe. This should have been a valid question. You understand? So this is too complicated issue, too complicated an issue to be discussed here in this class. But if you want a brief answer, my answer is that the Big Bang concept is very clearly, specifically defined in the Holy Quran, while it has not been mentioned in any religious book anywhere in the world. The Holy Quran is the only divine book which does not only speak of this phenomenon of creation, but specifically mentions and in detail and makes some further claims as to this phenomena being a repetitive phenomenon, not an accidental phenomenon occurring once, but it's a repetitive phenomenon. So that is the short answer I promised you, and no more should be discussed here, because I know once we enter into the details of this question, most of the children will not be able to understand what I'm talking about. Okay?
Jazakallah.
Thank you. Wa alaikum salam.
My question is, why did the Holy Prophet have no sons who lived, even though he prayed?
Why does
Why did the Holy Prophet did not have any sons who lived even though he prayed?
Do you know that he prayed for sons?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
How? How do you know that?
My dad told me.
What? Tell me.
That's not true. That's not true.
Your dad is sitting next to me. He says that's not true. He absolves himself of this. Was it your mom? Are you clear? Are you sure who told you? Was it your dad or was it your mom?
My dad.
So you better settle it between yourselves. Right? You see, God, number one, remember that prayer is begged of God. Prayer is not dictated to God. If the prayer is dictated, then God is the servant and the one who makes the prayer is the master. It's the other way around. God is the master and whoever begs is the servant. And even in ordinary English idiom you may hear, beggars are never choosers. Those who beg, they can't dictate terms. Even the prophets of Allah cannot with certainty say that all our prayers are heard and accepted. They are heard in a different way, but they are not accepted verbatim. The Holy Prophet prayed for the guidance of the whole of Arabia and the whole of mankind, didn't he? But all of Arabia didn't find the truth, didn't recognize the truth of Islam. Many died, unfortunately, without accepting Islam. So for the prayer to be good is all right, but for the prayer to be accepted verbatim, all of it by God, is absolutely a false idea. It cannot work. God is the master and the one who prays is the servant, he begs, right? So even if you are right and your father is wrong, even if he told you that Hazrat Muhammad ﷺ used to pray for his son, still it is up to Allah. He accepted it. If he accepted it, he should have accepted it for a good cause. If he didn't accept it, he must have refused the prayer for a good cause. And in case of Hazrat Muhammad ﷺ, many conjectures can be made, many suggestions can be forwarded as to why this happened, what was the wisdom in withholding a son from him. Right? Already you know, Shias have created almost a new religion out of exceptional love for the daughter of Hazrat Muhammad ﷺ. So much so that all who belong to her and who have any relationship with her, they are considered to be the custodians of the entire truth. And the rest of the Sahabas and all the thousands, hundreds of thousands of Muslims of that time who did not accept Hazrat Ali as the first caliph, they are rejected outright as munafiqeen, as hypocrites. So, what a havoc played with a good idea wrongly used. Love of the children of Hazrat Muhammad is a good idea. When it is misemployed, then it plays havoc with the peace of Islam itself. So imagine if a son was born and he lived after him. One shudders with the possibilities of what might have happened. People might have made a god out of him, and everything would be monopolized by him and those who followed him. But Hazrat Muhammad ﷺ was not only a prophet for his own progeny, he was not only a prophet for Arabia alone, he was not only a prophet for the East, he was the prophet of the East and the West and the whole of the mankind. So that is why God did not put the world into such a trial as I have just spoken of. But that is just a suggestion. Allah knows best. Okay? And when you return home and have it sorted out with your father, let me know of the outcome of this debate. Okay?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
My question is...
And your name is?
Wahid Ashraf Meeni from Bradford.
Right.
My question is, why are we called Atfal and what does Atfal mean?
Why? What?
Why are we called Atfal and what does
Atfal.
Atfal mean?
Alright, would you rather prefer to be called Ansar or Khuddam?
Well,
that means, I understand, that means that you do not know the meaning of Tifl. And you do not know what Atfal means in relation to the word Tifl. Tifl means a child. And Atfal is the plural of Tifl. Atfal. Right? Like Nasir is the singular and Ansar is the plural. Like Khadim is the singular and Khuddam is the plural. See? So an organization which comprises not only one Khadim but so many of them is called Khuddam. An organization which comprises not only one single Tifl but so many of them is called Atfal. And Atfalul Ahmadiyya means children of Ahmadiyya Jamaat in Islam. Now you know the significance? Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
My name is Subha Amini and I am from Bradford.
Yes.
My question is, why don't we read namaz when the sun is directly above our head?
Why don't we read the namaz in the sun?
Directly above our head when the sun is directly above our head.
Right. Do you say namaz all the time when the sun has begun to decline until it sets? Why do you insist on saying the prayer at that sharp moment when the sun is just on your head and is about to decline? It occupies that position for a minute or two. And what prayer will you be able to finish anyway? And why must you insist? This is just an idea. This question has no practical advantage anyway. But I'm glad you asked, because this is not all about the sun and the prayer relationship. There are 3 times instead which are mentioned in hadith, that there are 3 positions of sun when no prayer should be said. 1, the rising sun, while it rises. It occupies about the same period, same minutes or a minute or two as the sun at its zenith occupies. Again, the sunset is a forbidden time. These are 3 times which had special significance in the religions of sun worshippers. You understand?
Yes.
In pre-Islamic era, there were many religions like one found among the Egyptian pharaohs, where sun was considered to be a god. Also among the Romans, the sun was specifically worshipped as a god. Also we hear of sun being worshipped at the time of Hazrat Abraham alayhi salatu wasalam. So the specific periods when, or the times of sun's movement, when the sun worshippers stood up and worshipped him, that is sun. By him I mean, but they think was a god. They were the rising of sun, the zenith when the sun is right on your top, and the setting of the sun. So because Islam does away with all sorts of idolatry and worship of false gods, so Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam informed us that the movement of sun is referred to for describing the prayer times, not because we respect this thing anyway. In itself it has no significance. It's just a measure to find time and to measure time. So you worship according to the positions, not out of respect for this thing. Particularly desist from praying when sun begins to rise, because this is the time when sun worshippers used to pray to sun god. Do not pray when it is on the zenith, because this is the time when the old people who worshipped sun as god used to offer their prayers to sun. This is the significance of preventing us or forbidding us from saying our prayers at these 3 periods of sun's movement. Right? Or earth's movement in relation to sun, I mean. Next please. Has Bradford monopolized all the questions, or would there be others from other regions who will ask a question too? No, I think there was one from Gillingham as well, huh? Right. Yes, you are from? Wa alaikum salam.
I am from Bradford. My name is Wasset.
Again Bradford?
Yeah.
Lord, your name is?
Wasset.
Right.
And my question is that what does Ahmadiyya
Come closer to the
mean?
microphone, please.
What does Ahmadiyya mean?
Ahmadiyya, yes, it's a good question. Ahmadiyya is not the name of a religion. Ahmadiyya is the name of a denomination within Islam which indicates that those who have accepted the Imam Mahdi and the promised Messiah, they are called Ahmadis, so that their identification becomes easier and simple. There are so many sects in Islam, Wahhabis, Barelvis, this and that, but we are all together called Muslims. But when you say I am a Muslim, the rest of the world does not know, just by you calling yourself a Muslim, whether you belong to Wahhabi faith or Barelvi faith or Shia or Sunni and whatnot. Right? So to make things easier for introducing your understanding of Islam, you call yourself an Ahmadi. Now why Ahmadi? It also has a deeper significance in the 2 attributes of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had 2 names which were meaningful, and they had some attributes, qualities contained in those names. One was Muhammad, right? And the other was Ahmad. The Muhammad name is mentioned in the Old Testament in relation to the advent of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Ahmad name is mentioned in the New Testament by Jesus Christ in relation to Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So his first advent is similar to that of Moses. That is Muhammadi advent. Second advent is similar to Hazrat Jesus Christ. That is why it is said that promised Messiah would come. So the Ahmadi phase is the second phase of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's second advent in the form of another person representing him. Is it too complicated for you, or have you understood? The word Ahmad means Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah. Like word Muhammad means Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah. And Muhammad Rasulullah was the name given to him in relation to the first manifestation of Muhammad Rasulullah Sallam. It was glorious and majestic and very quick and very fast, so that Islam spread within his lifetime so rapidly. And the Ahmad was his manifestation, which was slow and which related more to the slow conviction and winning through love, through persuasion, not with a glorious, grand display of majesty. And that is exactly the style of the spread of Jesus Christ's teachings when he came. So because a Messiah was promised to Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and because Jesus himself mentioned his advent as under the name of Ahmad, so from this we understand that God had so designed that in the first instance Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam will manifest his attribute of Muhammadiyat. And in the latter days, when a Messiah appears in his Ummah, that is the promised Messiah, that is Hazrat Masih Maud al-Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah will display his Shan-e Ahmadiyat, or manifestation of Ahmadiyat. So to remind us that we are in the second phase of Rasulullah Sallam's display of his Shan-e Ahmadiyat. This name was given by Hazrat Masih Maud al-Islam. And he has explained it himself in a small booklet in which he has spoken of this. So do not misunderstand the word Ahmad to have originated from Hazrat Masih Maud al-Islam's personal name. His name was Ghulam Ahmad, the perfect servant of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the Ahmad name is originally that of Hazrat Rasulullah. It applies to him only metaphorically. You understand? So in this way we understand the significance of our title Ahmadiyyat. It is not a new religion whatsoever. It is Islam, and entirely Islam, and nothing but Islam. But Islam as was to appear in the second manifestation of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah's attributes, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Have I made myself clear? Enough for you to understand?
Yeah.
Thank you. To answer children's questions is very difficult, because they ask sometimes very good, very sound questions which need good explanations, but their mental level or level of their knowledge is such as you have to get down to the level and try to explain things to them so that it gets registered, your answer gets registered. That's why I take a bit longer than it might have been necessary otherwise. Wa alaikum salam. Now you are growing very rapidly in height, mashallah. Eh? No longer the same tiny little thing. Eh? Have you been eating my medicine as well or no?
Yeah.
Really? Regularly? or occasionally?
Occasionally.
And we'll do it more regularly.
Okay.
Inshallah, you will benefit more from it. Right?
I've heard in one of your programs that we're allowed to eat snakes. Why are we allowed to eat snakes if they eat
Snakes?
rats? Yeah.
Why are we not allowed to?
Why are we allowed to eat snakes? We haven't completed it.
Okay. Is that your question? Would you like to eat snakes? Huh? No? Do you like to eat lizards? No? Do you like to eat worms? Insects? So God has left to your free will so many things which are not forbidden because by nature you won't eat them. So everything has not to be specified. If God had prepared a long list of what you should eat and what you should not eat, and if He had covered all the insects and all the worms and all the animals of all sorts, the Holy Quran will become a book of 50, 70 volumes or more, containing only the names of such animals which are to be eaten and which are not to be eaten. So, as specimen, some are picked out, and the rest is left to your own wisdom and taste. But why did you think of eating of snakes at all? What happened?
Yes,
did you ever feel a craving to eat snake? You see, things which are poisonous, things which are ugly looking, things which are slimy, one naturally doesn't like to eat them. So why should God go on adding to the list of you shouldn't eat that, you shouldn't eat that? Only that is forbidden which has some special moral significance. And the pork and whatever name you call it by, the flesh of pig, is bad for some morals, bad for human morals. That is what we can understand from its special habits. So that is perhaps the reason why pig is picked up, specially picked out of all the animals, to be declared forbidden. And also the beasts are forbidden. The rest is left to your own good taste. Understand? Thank you. What about your kidney? Is it working better now? MashaAllah? Huh? No problems? Alhamdulillah. Yes.
My name is Muzaffar Chaudhry and I'm from New Malden.
What Chaudhry?
Muzaffar.
Yes, Muzaffar Chaudhry, yes.
My question is, what does the Quran say will happen to planet Earth at the end of the world, Day of Judgment?
End of the world?
Yes.
What would happen at the end of the world?
To planet Earth.
The end of the world?
No, I mean, will it's like...
At the end of the world, what would happen would be the end of the world. What else do you want to hear?
Well,
it will happen so suddenly that no one living would understand what is happening. If somebody is suddenly killed through a violent accident, people who watch him, they know what may have happened to him, but he will himself never know what had happened to him. Right? So when all of the human beings are suddenly killed and all the life on earth is suddenly brought to a halt, none would know what would happen, what had happened. So why are you interested in knowing that?
I'm just interested.
Huh?
I'm just interested.
Something would happen. A violent earthquake maybe, a asteroid striking the earth maybe, or some other such phenomenal happening which we cannot foresee but we can visualize anyway with relation to our past experience. You see, for instance, there was a time when there was the age of dinosaurs. The entire world was filled with dinosaurs. They ruled supreme over the earth. Then suddenly they were gone, completely finished. The age was wiped up and the period of dinosaur, the age of dinosaur was over and done with. Do you know what happened? The scientists, first of all, were really confounded. They did not know the answer. But some later researches have led them to believe that a huge meteorite of colossal size struck the ocean, maybe Pacific Ocean or whatever the oceans were at that time. It hit the middle of the ocean, and the resultant rise in the debris thrown up, the dirt and the filth and the water and everything else and the fumes, they covered the whole earth from one end to the other. And they covered the whole earth from the sun rays, shielded the earth from the sun rays for a very, very long period, until the climate changed, until the vegetation underneath died, until the dinosaurs had nothing to eat, and they all gradually withered out and were ebbed out of life altogether. And some say this must have caused huge earthquakes, huge upheavals. The mountains may have toppled, and the earth may have split from place to place. And this great earthquake and the splitting of earth might have swallowed or crushed or destroyed by the vibration of it, the phenomenon, all forms of life which were big enough to be hit by such volcanic forces. Small insects are not affected at all. Small sized life escapes such havocs. They are not much affected by earthquakes, While humans die, while other animals during the earthquakes, the insects fly easily and perfectly as if nothing was happening around them. So a sort of life was destroyed, and the remaining life was continued to remain. That is the suggestion put forward by scientists. So if from looking back at our past, we know that events of this magnitude have been able to wipe out a large form of life from Earth in a very short period of time. If something much bigger than that happens, just one big strike on Earth and everything will tumble down. Like the Holy Quran sometimes presents the image of the mountains flying by and everything, gone mad in a disorderly frenzy. That indicates a huge accident. But after things will settle down, life will take root again. New forms of life will appear afterwards. Right? Thank you. Yes, please.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
My name is Kashif Ahmed, and my question is, do you believe in UFOs? And if you do, what are they doing here?
Do you?
Yeah.
Why?
Because the evidence.
What?
The evidence, the pictures.
So bring the evidence and I'll also believe. You see, it's not a religious question of belief or not to have belief. it's a question of simple evidence, as you have yourself suggested. And to sift an evidence and to verify the reports of the witnesses is an issue which varies from person to person. Some evidence satisfies some people very easily. They are called credulous people, who would believe in anything they hear if they want to believe. Some people are very strict in their scrutiny. They won't accept any claim unless they fully examine, analyze, and testify the evidence presented before them. Not testify, but critically examine the evidence presented before them before they testify to its truth. So you have already accepted it on the basis of some evidence. So far I have not found any definite positive evidence of the truth of the so-called phenomenon of UFOs. Some evidence is presented through television, but I know that television evidence is not at all worthy of acceptance, because they have been playing tricks in the name of evidence in so many things. Only they want to present things which excite people, which thrill people, and for the sake of creating thrills, they know how to present these things in a manner as they become normally acceptable. But I have read books from the other side as well. I have read criticism against the claim that UFO, unidentified objects exist, by scholars who have made researches. They have their story to tell. So before making up your mind so quickly, you better read both types of books. Don't just depend on the evidence presented through the television stories. Read literature. The books are already written by scholars who have prepared those books painstakingly, collecting material of all sorts. So this is a possibility as far as I am concerned. I don't rule it out. It is possible that something of that nature may have been happening. But what is the significance of UFO? Who is responsible for these? Why UFOs are not recognized by the big governments of the world? Why they do not make search into the phenomenon of UFO themselves and let the whole of the world know of what is happening? The question of UFO is left entirely to the area of fiction. In the scientific literature, you don't find UFO mentioned at all. Why not?
I've read a book, and it is.
Pardon?
I've read a book, and it is by a high standard author or whatever.
And what does it tell you?
It says that the government.
You see, the aliens which get out of the UFOs and get back after sometimes abducting a man or a woman and sometimes depositing him back, do you know that they have been described so differently everywhere? And the nature of their form, their body, has never been defined properly.
In the book it has.
Pardon?
Well, in the book it also says
sometimes they are given some humanoid figures, similar to humans, with some extra features, you know, some antennas jutting out of here and there, and spidery legs and things. All that is fiction. And how can they speak the language, our language? How can they communicate with us? What is the purpose of suddenly appearing and then disappearing very rapidly? What is the material they are collecting? And why do not they respond to any signals which are emitted by scientists of this world who are desperately attempting to establish contact with the aliens elsewhere in the universe? You see, millions of dollars are spent by America alone on such projects whereby constantly, day and night, scientific signals are emitted to the universe, to the entire universe, requesting in so many ways for a response. If there is an intelligent life elsewhere, they say, come on, tell us where you are and what is your form of existence. No response has ever been recorded so far. Who are these UFO people? Where do they live? They come to our earth and leave no message behind. That is also a question which has to be weighed on the other side, put on the other side of the scale before you make a final decision. So for story is good, enjoy it, but to present it as a solid fact of life, I don't agree with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
मगरिब की नमाज कितने बजे होती है? 8 बजे? हैं? अच्छा, उसके बाद फिर अगला सेशन शुरू हो जाता है? हैं? अच्छा, you would like me to bring it to a stop now? और ये बच्चे जो दूर दूर से आए हुए हैं, अभी तो ब्रेडफोर्ड ही खत्म नहीं हुआ. Come on, let's continue. उनको डिले कर देंगे थोड़ा सा. Come on, children.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
My name is Naveed Shakur and I'm from Cardiff.
From Cardiff.
And
right.
my question is,
right.
why, at what age do you have to be able to
come
fast?
Come closer to the microphone. Yes?
At what age do you have to be able to fast, and why do people go to Hajj?
Fast and Hajj?
At what age do people have to be to fast?
Oh, well,
so why do we have to do that?
Two things. About the other fundamentals of Islamic practices, you have no question to ask? Why do you say prayers? Why do you give zakat and so on? That you have understood.
Yeah.
And why do we have to spend in the cause of Allah? That you have understood. Yes. Only what baffles you is the wisdom of going to Hajj and the wisdom of keeping fast. Is that right?
Yes.
But that's not right. You have not understood the significance of any of the 5 fundamentals. I don't know why you are asking about fast. Maybe because only about 2 months ago the month of fasting came and people were, everywhere, Muslim Ahmadis particularly, were keeping rozas and so on and so forth. So that made you interested in this question. Is it right?
Yes.
Huh? And Hajj is about to come when after that we'll have big Eid. Correct?
Yes.
Because I asked this counter question to indicate to the administration here that on the fundamental beliefs and the fundamental practices, Khudamul Ahmadiyya and the management of Atfal Ahmadiyya, etc., should pay special attention and should not feel safe unless they teach their younger generations at least everything they must know about the fundamentals. You see? When I answered you in a devious way, in a long way, it was not a purpose to waste your time and my time. This is what I want to bring out. Most of the Ahmadi boys and maybe most of the Ahmadi girls have not been properly informed as to the significance of our fundamental beliefs and our fundamental practices. Correct?
Yes.
So now having explained this, I turn to your question. The significance of fasting is a big thing to be congested in a small space of this question and answer. I have spoken during my sermons, during Ramadan, continuously, for years, on this subject, and yet I have not been able to exhaust this subject. So I advise you to have the cassettes of last Ramadan and start listening to them. If you have a video at your home, get a video and watch me and listen to me when I am explaining the significance of Ramadan to the whole world. You are a part of the same world. Why should I say all the things all over again addressing you alone or a small class here when I have already done this, when I have already attempted to explain in every possible detail the significance of Ramadan, and I have tried to express myself in such language as at least the major part of the sermon should be understood by people of all ages. So if you are really interested, then listen to those sermons. Okay? As far as the Hajj is concerned, I have again spoken on the issue of Hajj and its significance. At the time of the sermon of every Eid, during my office of Khilafat for the last 14 years. So if you can't go back to all that period, get a cassette, recorded cassette of my sermon of last Eid and the Eid before. That is the Eid, Badi Eid as we call it. Then inshallah, your query will be answered, and I hope you will find satisfaction in that answer. Right? Now, you nod your head in assent, right? Yes. But do you mean it, or just you're saying yes, yes, yes?
I mean it.
All right, when you listen to those sermons, write to me afterwards. Okay?
Yeah.
And if there are any areas which are not properly explained, which you do not understand, then write to me about them. Then I'll know that you kept your promise and you meant business. Okay? Jazakumullah. Who is this tiny thing? Has he reached the age of Atfal, or is underage as yet?
Assalamualaikum.
The age of Atfal begins with 7, doesn't it? But he doesn't seem to be 7 years old, is he?
I am.
Are you?
Yeah.
MashaAllah.
My name is Fahim.
My name is?
Fahim.
Son of?
Abid Nasir.
कहाँ है वो? Now your question, please. You're from Hanslow?
Yeah.
Right.
I have 3 questions.
3 questions?
Yeah.
1.
Number 1 is, how does God look like? Can you see him in your dreams?
How does God look like? Can you see him in your dreams?
Well, how does God look like? Nobody knows. Because nobody can see God with his naked eyes.
How do you see him in your dream?
In the dream?
Yeah.
Differently. Some people see God in their dreams as a light, as a sudden glow of light. And sometimes people see them in the form of human beings, as holy people. But they are just apparitions, images. They are not the true picture of God at all. God is not made of any body. God is not made of any substance that we know of. God is not made of the material of which we are made, or the universe is made. So it's impossible for us to see God with our material eyes, okay, right? Only He is a power. He is behind everything which we see. But they are covers, they are not God. When you see the light of sun is not God, nor the light which is emitted by the sun is God. But the power behind the sun and behind the light is God. God is behind every creation. He has created you. So your wisdom, your form, the beautiful arrangement of your body and your functioning of your organs are not God, but they are made by God. So we can judge Him to be a most perfect being by the art He has created, by the things He has made. So that is why we can imagine Him through conclusions drawn from what He has created. But we can't see Him. Correct? The issue of dream is different. In dreams, your own internal psychic powers create illusions for you, images for you, and you may see God in the form of a human being, but it does not mean that this is the true form of God. Correct? Second question, please.
It's what was before the earth?
Come closer to the microphone, please.
What was before the earth?
Before the what?
The earth. What was before the earth?
Before the earth? Before the earth or before the universe or what? This earth.
Before the earth.
The earth began, or let us say, the earth came to be formed around 4.5 billion years ago. 4.5 billion years ago. Got the message?
Yeah.
What is a billion? All right, you tell us. He's raising his hand. What is a billion? What did he say? 1,000?
He said 1,000. That's right.
1,000 is a billion. 1,000 million. 1,000 million is a billion, right? And what is a million?
A million. 10 million.
10 hundred thousands, right?
Yeah.
So 100,000 multiplied by 10 makes a million. A million multiplied by 1,000 makes a billion. Multiplied by 4.5 makes the entire span in which the span of the existence of the earth up to now. Earth was created 4.5 billion years ago, correct? Created out of the substance which made the satellites of a system of this sun. The sun and its satellite system were created out of the substance which was formed in the form of, say, like cosmic dust. Now these are things which are far too minute for you to be able to understand. So before the earth, we can say there was some sort of existence in the universe which gradually settled down into different shapes, and stars were born out of that, and star systems were born out of that, and the satellite system of the sun was also born out of that. So that pre-existed the formation of earth. Understood? I hope so. Next, Third question, please.
Why does Saturn have a ring and the other planets don't?
मुझे तो कुछ नहीं पता चला.
Why does Saturn, the planet Saturn, have rings and the other planets do not have rings?
Have you read so much about the planets and things? Eh? Very clever. You tell us. If you already know so much, why don't you tell us instead? You see, why are the rings created? Do you know that? Rings are created by luminous moving objects, luminant moving objects around something. If they are moving at a very fast speed, then they make a sort of ring. If you tie a stone to a string and revolve it round, and if you do it very fast, suddenly instead of seeing a stone revolving, you will see a circle, continuous circle of something. So the rings are created by small illuminated or luminous particles or gases which keep on revolving round the planet. And if there are more tears, more masses at different distances from the planet, then more rings will be seen by you. They are not actual rings. They are luminous objects. Maybe it is just luminous dust, maybe it is just gases, but they are reflecting light, and from here, when we see at a long distance, we think they are just rings. Right? Why there and why not elsewhere is Allah's creation. Nobody can ask why. 3 questions over? Thank you. मैं क्या इनको कद ऊंचा करने की दवाई दें? ये बैठे हुए साथ प्रायर शेट्टी साहब हैं? दे रहे हैं? नहीं, अब इनको पहले वो दें ऊंची, जो गुंजने खोलने की दवाइयाँ हैं ना, उनमें मेडोराइनम भी है, एक सीएम में देनी पड़ती है, और एक सिफिलिनम. पहले एक ट्राई करें, उसके बाद दोबारा रूटीन नुस्खा. अगर फिर भी काम ना करे तो फिर दूसरी ट्राई करके फिर रूटीन नुस्खा. अक्सर मैंने देखा है गांठें पड़ी हुई खुदा के फल से खुल जाती हैं.
Assalamu alaikum.
My
name is Slimuddin and I'm from Huddersfield. My question is, these days youngsters don't really care what religion they are, non-Ahmadis. And how can we attract them towards Ahmadiyya and towards God?
You see, this question is gaining more importance with the passage of time to Ahmadiyya, because more and more Ahmadis are becoming conscious of their responsibility to spread the message. It's a good sign. This question has been answered by me scores of times at length from different angles, and we have available all the material where I have directed Ahmadis how to go about the task of calling people to the path of Allah. This is Dawat il-Allah, right? But the one answer I should like to give here is by your model first. Personal example. If you create an excellent model of a young boy of your age, which people look up to with wonder, that you belong to the same irresponsible age where the boys are becoming more and more rowdy, undisciplined, they even murder their headmasters, they do not care for the honor of anybody else. Why this man, this boy is strange and so different from the rest of the society? These questions will be first asked quietly by the people, within themselves. And then they will become interested in listening to you. They would like to come closer and see you from close, and then they would start their inquiry as to who you are and why are you so. when they are in a fit frame of mind to listen to your preaching, that is the time to speak to them. So it is highly important to establish a good model of conduct, right? And if you have a close circle of friends whom you can freely invite to your home for a cup of tea or dinner or something, you can also entice them or make them interested in Ahmadiyyat by preparing a plan for showing them some video recordings of questions and answers or other similar things in which you feel that your friends could be interested. Just give them a taste and let them decide for themselves later on whether they would be interested in these things or not. Otherwise, with your limited knowledge of Ahmadiyyat, you may not be able to present Ahmadiyyat in an attractive enough form, in an attractive enough way to make them hooked on to Ahmadiyyat. You may fail in delivering the message efficiently. The result would be that they will stop taking interest anymore. So to catch them, to relate to them more, to you and your message more closely, these devices have to be adopted or taken recourse to. So first thing is model. Be careful as to how you present to your friends, and be careful that they receive the message that this boy is special, is really worthy of imitation. And second, invite them to your house in small batches and sit with them and show them the video just out of curiosity for them, you know. Come on, let me show you something very special. Maybe it is of interest to you. Those who will become interested, then they will come for others as well. And this happens everywhere in the world now. Right? Oh, he is not a member of Qadam al-Ahmadiyya, Atfal al-Ahmadiyya, I'm sure. Are you already 7? You are hardly 4.5. How old are you?
6.
6? MashaAllah. Another case of Barata Carp treatment. Right? Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
My name is Musafi.
Right.
Why does the world go round?
Why is the world called round?
Why does the world go round?
The world go round. Is that the question? If the world did not go round, what would happen? Do you know? Does anybody know? Yes. Pardon? Loudly. Yes. What else? Yes, you tell me. I'm talking of to, yes. When I look at him, he'll start looking back. Yeah?
It would stay the same season all the time.
It will stay the same season.
That's right. Not only, it's not a question of season. It's a question of time of day. Will it be night or day? It will remain fixed. Part of the earth would always have a day. Part of the earth will always have night. And there will be no change of night into day and day into night. That part which will constantly remain in front of sun, it will become blazing hot. So hot that it would be impossible for you to live on that surface of the earth. and the other part will become extremely cold and also devoid of all vegetation, because without the light of sun nothing can grow. So that part which is dark will be without vegetation because there will be no light. That part which remains always in front of the sun would also be without vegetation. It will turn into desert, vast desert, because of overmuch of sun. So if that had happened, there will be no little Hayat today standing before me and asking me this question, because there will be no life on earth whatsoever. You understand? No. Do you?
Yes.
If there is always light on one part of the earth and always darkness on the other, then the life can neither flourish on this side nor on that side. On one side it will be overmuch heat, on the other side overmuch cold and darkness. So between the two, the issue of life will be rolled up and destroyed. No life can exist. There will be no question and answer session like we are holding today. What do you prefer personally now? Should the world go round or not? What is your final verdict? Answer.
It does.
Done?
It does.
Huh?
He says it does.
I didn't ask you whether it does or does not. I say, would you like the earth to continue to revolve round itself, go round and round, or would you like it to stop somewhere? All right, I know how to make you understand. If the earth stops revolving at the time of breakfast, you will always have breakfast, nothing else. Would you like to have breakfast after breakfast after breakfast? Because it's a breakfast time only. Or would you like lunch time to come? Would you? Would you like the lunch time to come after breakfast or not? Yes. Tell me. Yes?
Yes.
So without moving the earth, lunch time cannot come. And if it stops at lunch time, you will be dying to have dinner time, but it will not come. It will be just the lunch time all the time. So you'll get fed up of lunches. Say, oh God, I must have my dinner time as well. And the earth will start moving again. You can't stop it. Right? Thank you. छोटे छोटे बच्चों को सवाल कैसे कैसे आते हैं? Yes, please. I think it's time now. We better call it a day at last. Huh? The families will be waiting there. Huh? What we'll do, we'll say the prayer in Jama, and when we return, you better send a message that after the mulaqat, we'll have the Maghrib Isha prayer set together, and then there will be no further inconvenience caused to the people.
Assalamu alaikum, Zul.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Well, you know Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam
Yes.
is the chief of the prophets.
Yes.
What do you mean by the chief of the prophets?
Chief, in fact, I don't know who told you the word chief. No such word is used in the Holy Quran as chief, because the chief has many different connotations and meanings. What we mean by his being Sayyidul Mursaleen or Khatam al-Nabiyyin is that he is the best. Right? Have you become a tifl or not yet?
Pardon?
Have you already become a tifl? Are you 7 or below 7?
I'm 7 years old.
Pardon? 7 years old?
Yes.
MashaAllah. Another case. There's so many bratacop children here, you know. Come on now.
If Allah Ta'ala made everything,
Beg
why
pardon?
did He... You know Allah Ta'ala made everything. Why did He make shaitan?
Shaitan.
Yeah.
Well, among other things, if He had not made shaitan, He should not have made human beings either. Because the difference between human beings and angels depends on their being a Satan or not being a Satan. If there was no Satan to misguide the mankind, then they will all follow the instruction of God like angels. Right or wrong?
Right.
Right. So when angels are already there who do this, why to create man at all? There has to be some difference between the angels and human beings. Human beings are given the option to be good or not to be good. If no option is provided to them for not being good, then they would be just angels, no human beings. There are two paths which you can follow possible at the head of a juncture of roads. Either you choose the right path or the left path. If there is no possibility of the left path, then your road is straight and you have no choice to make. But when there is a possibility of another path, only then the choice appears. So God created mankind for the purpose of judging, if given option, which one of His servants follow His teaching and which one of His servants does not. So to create the negative path, there had to be some force created, which is Satan. So daily you are confronted with these two forces of goodness and evil. Whenever you hear a call for prayer,
yes,
a message is delivered to you that come, it's the prayer time. And another message is delivered to you, I feel sleepy and drowsy. I feel lazy. I'm enjoying watching a football match or a wrestling bout. So let the prayer time go away. I'm more interested in this. The second voice is that of the devil or Satan, right?
Right.
So if that voice was never raised, how would Allah try you? So for the trial, there has to be two options, two possibilities. Do you ever appear in examinations?
Pardon?
Have you ever taken an examination?
Well,
Have you ever appeared in any examination?
no.
No? You don't go to school?
Yeah.
Do go?
Yes.
And do they give you papers
Yes.
to examine you?
Well, no, not
Never.
really.
Why not? I don't know the system here, but in our
Well, they
country,
do, but
every year, every child who goes to school is examined at least once a year, where if he answers rightly, he passes. If he answers wrongly, he fails. But you understand the system, don't you? So God has created man to try him, to put him into different examinations. If he passes, he is granted a higher status and reward of his pleasure. If he does not pass, then he is accordingly punished for his failure. So for the system of failure, there has to be the Satan who would work on the negative side, who will tell you all the wrong things. And there has to be a system of angels who will tell you the good things all the time. So the voices you hear from within you are either angelic or satanic. So without the creation of Satan, you will have no choices. You understand?
Yes.
Good, thank you. I think it's time now to leave, because already we have overshot the prescribed period for 40 minutes? By 40 minutes, huh? Okay. So children, it's very interesting to sit with you. You ask very good, interesting questions. And generally, it's my experience that to sit in question and answer session with you is more productive than to sit in question and answer with Ansar. With due apologies to the member of Malis Ansarullah. The boys have, the girls and boys have fresh minds, and new questions grow and flourish on the fertile soil of their brains. So I enjoy sitting with you, but already we are short of time, so I take leave of you. Allah bless you. May you return home having gained so much from this class that you utilize this for the remaining of your year. Okay? Remember, the one thing you must remember, that during this class you should learn to say your 5 times prayer regularly, with due attention to your wuzu, and all the concomitants will go with the prayer. So in 2 days' time, pay special attention to attach yourself to prayers. So when you return home, at least one thing which will remain with you throughout would be your habit of learning how to pray 5 times a day. That would be the greatest benefit you could draw from such a class. With that, I take leave of you. Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.